morning everyone, welcome back to free and fun and exciting practical science activities. Today's lesson, just let me get my board, is going to be on reversible and irreversible changes. And I've split the board into practical activities that the different key stages will do today for their half-an-hour lesson, and it is quite practical heavy again because after all that is the fun part of science, isn't it, doing practicals at home. Today involves doing some cooking as well, which I know a lot of students find really useful and interesting. So for key stage 1 we've got a reversible reaction which is freezing to do, and an irreversible, which means that you can't change it, reaction which is heating. And I've put egg in brackets there because they might want to have scrambled egg for breakfast or scrambled egg for lunch, which will work really well. Key stage 2, we're going to look at the reversible reaction of dissolving and the irreversible reaction of heating and mixing. We're going to look at key stage 3, melting, and heating, mixing and burning. I'm going to look key stage 4 briefly at chemical changes and electrolysis, which is under the chemistry units for GCSE. So let's start with our first practical activity today, which is looking at freezing. I'm going to move my table a little bit forward so that I can use it today. And I'm going to move my camera forward too so that you can see some more of the practical activities that I'm going to do. Just do that now. There we go. Closer. That's much better. Right. Okay, so what we're going to look at today then is for our first practical activity that I want to do for key stage 1 is I'd like you to have a go at freezing with them and just show them initially what water is from a tap. If you want to, you can add some fruit juice to it, which would be great because when you freeze it, you can make an ice pop with them. I'd like you to show them that freezing is a reversible reaction, and you can do that by placing your juice into a glass and showing them the juice and suggesting to the students what would happen if we put it in a freezer. And then getting the ice cubes out. I've got some here which are oddly enough in the shape of Santas because they're left from Christmas. Then take the ice cubes out of the tray, place it into the beaker and ask them, hold them side by side, or the glass, whatever you're using, and hold them side by side and ask them how are they different. This is obviously now a solid and this is a liquid, but how could we make it reversible and back to what it was before? You might want to do this with them outside because as you're discussing it and leaving it there on the table, the ice cubes will start to melt. It's a really good scientific inquiry for them to do and for them to have a go at. So that's the first practical for key stage 1. I'm just going to put my equipment down. The second practical is heating. And what you could do is you could get them to scramble an egg in a cup or a plastic container, and you can put it in the microwave. Show them and get them to do it with you because it involves a little bit of cooking as well, which is good, and they can eat what they've made. Get them to use a fork to scramble it themselves or whatever utensil you usually use, and then show them the egg as a liquid before it goes in the microwave, and then place it in there and get them to tip it out once it's cooked. And ask them again, can we reverse this? Can we make this egg that's now gone solid back into a liquid like it previously was? And explain to them what will happen if you try to do that, because it's not possible, because try using the words an irreversible reaction. If they don't like egg, then that's absolutely fine. There are a couple of other things that you can do. You can get them to bake bread. You can get them to bake a cake. But whatever you decide to do with them, for your irreversible reaction, make sure you take pictures of them doing it, and don't forget to tag me and to show me exactly what they've been doing. When you take the pictures, what would be really good is if you show me a picture of them doing a reversible reaction, freezing, and an irreversible reaction, cooking or baking, and write it underneath the picture so that I know that the kids understand the difference between a reversible and an irreversible reaction. Great, thank you. So Key Stage 1, that's your opportunity to now switch off and go and have a go at the practical activities, and then download the worksheet that is attached in the description. Don't forget to look at my shop. There's some great £1 practicals in there for you to do. Okay, Key Stage 2. I would like you to do those first two reactions that we were talking about, the freezing and the heating, and those two experiments. You could do those in your kitchen or outside, that's great. But I would also like you to have a go at these two practicals too, which are dissolving and mixing, and you can do both of those together. I've got a little bit of coffee here inside this little cup. And what I'd like you to do is just to get a little bit of coffee and a little bit of water, and I'd like you to pour the coffee into the water. It doesn't matter whether the water is cold or warm, it doesn't matter at all. Then I'd like you to get, although if you see, because this is cold water, it's not dissolving straight away, because warm water makes the reaction happen faster, but it doesn't matter because we're going to mix it. Okay. And as we are mixing it, we can show that it is beginning to dissolve, like that. And that is your dissolving experiment. If you watched the previous lesson yesterday, you will notice that we did salt water. We dissolved salt in water, and then we showed how that could be reversed by evaporating the water and keeping the salt crystals. We then went on to show that we could condense that water and turn that water that was steam as it had evaporated back into pure water again. So that shows how that is a reversible reaction. I would also like you to have a look at the irreversible reaction of heating and burning. Okay, so if you could take some bread that I've got here and put it in the toaster, you can show that you are doing the heating part for your Key Stage 3 irreversible reaction, but you are also doing the burning part, which is an irreversible reaction. We have, in fact, burnt the toast and carbonised it. It's carbon on here, black. Yeah, and that is an irreversible reaction. You could do something that is a little bit more exciting than just making toast and burning the edges of it. You don't want to burn your house down, you don't want to set off the fire alarms or smoke alarms or anything like that, so make sure you ask an adult before you do that experiment. If you have got anything like these, which are candles or gel burners, which I've got here, okay, you could toast some marshmallows, which is a really nice experiment. I'm just going to show you how these gel burners work. You can use them for camping and you can get them off the internet. They're not hugely expensive, but they're also suitable to use inside, but you still need to make sure that you have adult supervision and that you have something underneath, because the little tins do get quite hot. When you take the lid off of these, there is a gel inside there. Just hold it up and you can see it. There's a gel inside there which is flammable. Okay, you can't tip it out, but the more you use it, it does get a little bit more liquid, so don't turn it upside down. Just going to place it on the edge of my table there, and I'm going to put underneath it that little saucer. I've got some matches here. I'm going to put my glasses on for a second, just for safety reasons, not that I really need it, it's not that dangerous. And I'm going to light my match. There we go. Light my gel burner. There you go, it is lit. You probably can't see, but it is. I wouldn't advise putting your hands over the top of it really closely like I just did, but I'm using them. Got myself some marshmallows here. I'm just going to grab one of those. I'm going to pierce it with my skewer that I've got. One of the good things that you can do with wooden skewers is that you can soak them in water and then they don't become flammable. So for a longer period of time, it's just a little bit safer if they're damp. Then you can place your marshmallow over the top of your gel burner, and if you notice, it's already starting to burn, which is showing our reaction. If it catches fire like that, you can just blow it. Yeah. If you haven't got one of these gel burners, then you can use a candle, but you need to be very careful, of course. There we go. It's the sugars that in a marshmallow that makes them burn quickly. And just put the lid over the top like that, deprive the gel burner of oxygen, and the gel burner will go out. And you can see that we have in fact burnt our marshmallow, which does indicate our burning reaction, which is irreversible. Okay, so that's another experiment that you could have a go at doing at home. So that is key stage 1, key stage 2 and key stage 3. If you don't have the ability to heat something, you don't have any candles, you don't have any gel burners, you don't have any adult supervision, then there is an easy experiment that you can do. If you've got any chocolate lying around, we always tend to have the strawberry ones left over because nobody likes the strawberry ones in our household. You can just take a piece of chocolate out of your wrapper, and you can place it onto a saucer like so and put it on the windowsill or leave it outside, and it will start to melt, and that will show your reversible reaction of melting, which is a little bit more interesting than just watching ice cubes melt. So that's another experiment that you can do at home to indicate your reversible reactions, because you could then put it back in the fridge and it will solidify again to indicate your reversible reaction. So that is the experiments for key stage 1, key stage 2 and key stage 3. Don't forget to have a go at all of those activities at home. Take pictures of yourselves doing them, because I really would like to see them, and tag me on Facebook, on Twitter, or email it to me at esgate-green@superscientists.co.uk. I'd really love to see exactly what you're doing, but remember to try and label them reversible and irreversible reactions to show me that you understand the science behind it. That would be great. Okay, so that finally leaves us with just key stage 4, and we're going to look at electrolysis as a method of separation. Hiya, and welcome back then to the key stage 4 bit, and we're going to talk in a bit more detail about electrolysis. I just stopped it briefly so I could draw this on the board. So what is electrolysis for GCSE then? Well, it's a melted or dissolved ionic compound that will conduct electricity. So it's the decomposition of the ionic compound, I've written on here to show you that when it's melted or dissolved and the process uses electricity. You've probably seen this diagram drawn on exam papers, and it classically shows the positive anode and the negative cathode with an electrical current passing through some liquid, and that liquid is a dissolved ionic compound. So when you pass an electrical current through the dissolved ionic compound, the negative ions attach to the positive anode and the positive ions attach to the negative cathode. So that's important to remember. I've got a couple of exam questions at the bottom here for you to have a go at. Question 1, copper chloride can be electrolysed. Explain why copper chloride does not conduct electricity when solid, but does when liquid. Well, The ions are fixed in a lattice position when they are in a solid, yet when they are in a liquid, they are free to move and therefore they can conduct electricity. Question 2, write the half equation for the reaction at the cathode. Have a quick think about that for a second. So the copper ions add the 2 electrons, make the copper atom. So if we write that here, it should look like Cu2 plus the 2 electrons equal, that arrow there, equal copper, Cu. There we go. Don't forget, Key Stage 4, to have a look at the attached worksheet that I've got for you to do, and hopefully I will see you at the next session. Thanks very much. Bye.